especially our large crowd. We hear that they're all here for someone. And I don't know who that would be, but we're excited. I will call to order and establish a quorum. We have online Brandy Williams, Councilwoman, Mitch LeKine, Mayor of Monument, Laura Kronick, who's a Councilwoman of Monument, Amy Mitchell, Commissioner of Park County, and then I'm Holly Williams. I'm the chair of PPACG, and we'll go around the room.
Andy Gunning, PPACG Executive Director.
Good morning, Kelly Case, Mayor of Woodland Park, and I'd like to wish a happy birthday to Eric Stone.
Ooh.
Happy birthday, Eric. I'm Todd Dixon, Mayor of Green Mountain Falls.
Right. Happy day, Eric. Sharon Thompson, Mayor of Fountain.
County Commissioner Bill Wysong.
J.R. Gatlin, Cripple Creek, representing Andy Durham, our mayor.
Good morning, Shane Ferguson, Colorado Department of Transportation.
Jeff Bond, Community Partnership Manager, representing Space Base Delta 41 and Space Base Delta 1, Peterson Schriever and Cheyenne Mountain.
And Eric Stone, Teller County Commissioner and Vice Chair or Vice President, what are we again, of this board. And I couldn't think of people I'd rather spend my birthday morning with than all of you. So thank you.
That's okay. I don't have my hammer yet. And Kimberly Gold, Councilwoman, is also online. So thank you for that. I did Amy Mitchell, Commissioner Amy Mitchell, Brandy Williams, and Mayor Mitch. So we're doing well. Is that a quorum? I think we have a quorum.
We are fine. Yes, we needed 7.
Now I have my hammer. So, okay. Let's see. We'll have a motion to move agenda approval. We're going to rearrange some things just a little bit, Andy.
Yes, Madam Chair. We'll go through the regular portion of the agenda to the first action item. We'll cover a legislative update, but then going to recommend after legislative, we shift into part of the information item. We'll start in with the safety briefing after we do legislative. And then after safety, we'll go back to our regular order in the action items.
Okay, that way we can get some of the many people who are here off to their other responsibilities or off to the party, wherever that's occurring. So, okay. So I would move with that change. I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move as modified. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Public comments can be made before or during the meeting. During the meeting, public comments are limited to 3 minutes and can be done at the meeting location or remotely by using the posted Teams link. Do we have any public comments today?
Madam Chair, we do have one person who registered to provide public comment in person. If willing, would like to go to the podium at this time.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Welling Clark, El Paso County Representative, Citizen Advisory Committee. I bid you all greetings. Good morning and happy birthday. I am here because generally you only hear citizens when something goes wrong. Well, I want to say, I've got something to say about that's gone right, the PPACG. 2 weeks ago, we had to shift around our projects because the expected funding was cut. And that means wasted resources. So I said something some other people did too, but also talking with the staff, I want to give a shout out to 2 entities. One, the leadership of your TAC, specifically El Paso County, Colorado Springs, and also Monument, because the TAC said they're going to be planning in the future from now on. If we are promised X amount of funds, we'll only receive 90% as an example. We're going to plan for 90% so we don't waste planning on something we cannot execute. And if we get more funding, that's a good problem to have. The second shout I'd like to give is to the PPACG staff. I have worked in various entities and modes with PPACG for 20 years. And in my opinion, you have the most professional, open, transparent, and willing to work with you group of people here. I just wanted to say that. And so I should wait so I get that air horn. I won't.
Oh, it's coming. You have another minute and 52 seconds.
No, but I just want to say thank you all very much. And I want you to know about the people you got working for you. As a citizen, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Willing. We appreciate all of your service to the organization as well.
Madam President, could I
Yes.
just make a comment? I want to thank Mr. Clark for his generous comments this morning. And then I also just want to express my appreciation to the board of PPACG and the staff for keeping citizen comments at the front of our meetings. That seems to be becoming more and more rare on city council. A year ago, we moved it to the last item. I think it's done that way at the county commissioners. We just got rid of the ability for citizens to comment online at the Board of Health. I don't remember if we moved it to the end, did we? Well, I hope we haven't, but so I appreciate this. I think it sends a signal to what value you place on citizen comment, whether it's the last thing and they don't know when it'll occur or it's upfront like it's done here. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Donaldson. We'd also like to welcome Commissioner Applegate in the room. All right, let's go to Colonel Dave Herndon with one more comment.
Sorry, Sherry Hoffman, PPACG HR Generalist. We do have two staff members that I want to introduce. We have Matt Belthausen as our new Senior Administrative Assistant. And we have Azure Hall, and she is our Air Quality Community Outreach Assistant. And so we are excited to bring them on board, and Matt's hire has allowed to move into our Technology Support Specialist position, which is super exciting, which also frees up Jared to do more for you guys. So and Azure will be working with Angie Martell, who is our environmental planner. So thank you.
Well, welcome. We're very excited to have you. Okay, now we'll go to item number B, which is military installation reports. We'll start with the Air Force Academy with Colonel David Herndon.
Good morning, everyone, from your United States Air Force Academy. It's always a pleasure to join you and provide a little bit of an update of what we're seeing here on the grounds at this illustrious institution. On Friday, the 13th, we are excited to host our Clergy Appreciation Day. We've invited faith leaders from across the Pikes Peak region to introduce them to our Air Force Chaplain Corps and the unique ministry that we have here at the Academy. And then we're going to culminate with a tour of the Cadet Chapel, we're offering all of those members a firsthand look at the progress of the restoration project. So it's going to be a wonderful opportunity to connect with the community and introduce them and show them the folks that are supporting our cadets and our personnel here on the yard. We are also welcoming a key member to our leadership team very soon, Colonel James Valpiani, which you may have seen in the news. He will assume command as our Dean of Faculty this Monday, the 16th. His call sign is Fang. He's a decorated fighter pilot who comes to us from DARPA. And so he's got extensive background in the experimental test world where he's accrued more than 1,400 flight hours and 30 plus different aircraft, including the F-35 as a commander and evaluator test pilot for the F-35 Integrated Test Force. So he's going to play a vital role in leading and shaping our academic mission here, and also shaping the intellectual kind of development of our future officers. On the cadet front, you can expect to see a significant number of cadets heading home on leave as they depart for spring break, which will run from March 20th through the 29th. And we'll also see them around the community as well during that window. And then looking ahead to May, we're thrilled to report that we remain on track for the grand opening of our visitor center. We look forward to hosting many of you for various opening ceremony events that are going to kick off mid-month. And we're excited to just share this new gateway to the Academy with the entire community. As teased out last month, this all nests with our USAFA 2050 strategic vision, how we're modernizing, sustaining, and recapitalizing on all of the infrastructure here. We've had some very, very positive conversations within the Department of the Air Force. And as this game plan solidifies, we look forward to sharing more with you as we continue to bolster all things at your United States Air Force Academy. Ma'am, that is all I have, pending any questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, we are looking forward to the opening of the Visitor Center. We appreciate your report. David Tukmanian with Fort Carson.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair and ladies and gentlemen. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us. Just three topics I want to touch on. First, I want to thank the Air Force Academy specifically for allowing us to host this year's Front Range Partnership and Strategy Summit at the East Club, which is it's kind of the bougie part of their stadium. It was really fantastic. It was a first-class event and probably the best venue that we've hosted our summit at. And so thank you so much to the Air Force Academy. We also appreciate all the survey comments that we got from the folks who attended, and we're looking forward to make it an even better event next year. We're going to try and do another off the installation event, so off of Fort Carson specifically. So if anyone out there has a venue they'd like to highlight, give me a shout, and we'll look at possibly using your venue for next year's summit. Next, you might have seen in the news some Army structure changes and how we go about doing business, and some changes about how the Department of War is structured. Well, that does affect Fort Carson. So we were previously what was called a Forces Command or FORCECOM installation, which was a kind of a conglomerate of like installations across the continental United States. So think Fort Carson, Fort Bragg, Fort Hood, Fort Bliss, all those big places like that. Well, we're no longer under FORCECOM or Forces Command. We are now, Fort Carson is now under U.S. Army Pacific, which changes not much for us other than the time at which we have our meetings, because we're now spread across multiple time zones. So, we find ourselves having meetings much later in the day with our counterparts across the Pacific. But on that note, we just recently hosted our Senior Executive Services civilian leader from Hawaii and gave her a 2-day tour of all things Fort Carson. And so that was a great event. And then the final note, Madam Chair and ladies and gentlemen, obviously you're watching the news with what's taking place in the Middle East with Iran. Fort Carson does have soldiers deployed to the Middle East right now. So I ask you to please keep them in your thoughts and your prayers, and always consider that when you see soldiers around town. So thank you so much. That's all I have pending any questions.
Are there any questions? Mayor Thompson.
Yes, Colonel, I assume I'm going to speak for the entire board when we express our condolences with the loss of Sergeant Pennington last week based out of Fort Carson. So please share our condolences and our thoughts and prayers.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, we also have Council Member Roland Rainey here this morning. Thank you. Let's go to Jeff Munn. Space Delta One.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to the PPACG board. Several items to report this morning. For Powers Airport Interchange Project and the Peterson Northgate Roundabout Project continue as scheduled. The impact of the installation is manageable. The new routing change seems to be working well, and with some small adjustments, it's going to be a solid path ahead for the next 4 months as we await final completion for the Airport Powers project. And the Space Operations Installation Compatibility Use Zone Study Project continues at Schriever Space Force Base. Matter of fact, there's a meeting that I'll be attending later on today regarding this. The contracting team was working with multiple agencies on the installation, gathering information. They're codifying that and starting to put together products in the plan and working that. There will be a future announcement. They're going to have a workshop probably in April that is going to it's going to bring together a lot of the information and really start to put some meat on the bones for that project. In response to global events, our military installations have increased our vigilance and procedures to keep our service members safe. We're working with the local community emergency responders to identify support that's necessary to maintain our installation safety and the missions assured. So may not have noticed a whole lot going on the surface, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Another item is thanks to PPACG, we learned that Colorado Senate Bill 2624 was closed out last month. The drone legislation did have some concerns by the military, and unfortunately, the bill's closure didn't warrant sufficient time to put forth a releasable statement. However, during the Pikes Peak Front Range Community Strategy Summit on February 23rd, we did have the opportunity to address this issue with the Director of Strategic Initiatives with the Assistant Secretary of War for Energy Installations and Environment. That's 2 business cards worth of information there. With some level of follow through, we may have information sent from the Pentagon that'll present a unified approach to this issue if it rises again. So again, appreciate the information that PPACG has passed on to us. And the final item is I do want to echo Fort Carson. I want to thank Dave Turkmanian and his orchestration of the Front Range Partnership and Strategy Summit. There were a lot of community partners there, and I can tell you that, in my opinion, I believe that is one of the best gatherings of community and military to talk about challenges and successes that we have, not just with partnership, but with maintaining the vitality of our installations. And we did have representation from some of you here, and I'll step out of line and speak on behalf of Fort Carson that I would encourage all the membership of the PPACG to consider attending the next summit that they have. It's really worth the juice for the squeeze. So thank you, and pending any questions, that's all I have to brief.
Are there any
Madam
questions or comments?
Madam
Go
Chair, Dave
ahead.
Turkmanian again.
Go ahead, David.
Yes, ma'am. Jeff, thanks a lot. Appreciate the call out on that. And just to note, if you didn't receive an invitation directly from Colonel Oxenwagner, Garrison Commander, it's only out of our sheer ignorance and not because we were neglecting anyone. What is great about this event is oftentimes the people that we do invite say, "Hey, I'd also like to bring this person or this person or this person," and absolutely bring them. The more the merrier. We find that it only adds to the collective knowledge.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Thompson.
Yeah, I would just like to encourage people to come. I've been at least 3 years. And this year we had room with windows. 1 year we didn't. So it was beautiful up at the Air Force Academy in an area I probably never would get a chance to go to, in this beautiful glass enclosed box. You're right on the field. You don't have to stay the whole day. Some years I've stayed a couple hours. Some years I've stayed half the day. This year I was able to stay the whole day. So just drop in. It's, as we all know, it's building the relationships that count. And especially when people rotate in and out, those relationships are always building, except for Jeff. Jeff just is our staple here, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next item is the consent items. These items are acted upon as a whole unless they are called up for discussion by a board member or a citizen wishing to address the board. So if I see no comments, I will take a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item 5A, our legislative update with Jared Berner.
Good morning, Board of Directors. My name is Jared Berner, Public Policy and Communications Manager here at PPACG. We're going to be a little bit flexible and nimble just because we got a few other people who are going to be answering questions. So we're going to start first on the federal side. We're very happy to have Jesse Cruz, especially for those of you who are on the county side, the El Paso County side. You will probably recognize him quite well. But he is now the Regional Director for Senator John Hickenlooper, and I'm just going to invite him to come on up and say a few words.
Thank you, Jared. Madam Chair, honorable elected officials, board members, thank you. As it was stated, I am Jesse Cruz. I am the new regional director for Senator Hickenlooper. If you knew Antonio, I am the new Antonio. I'm basically here just to say thank you to those that were able to assist with us 3 weeks ago. We had the senator through El Paso County and Teller County to do a couple of roundtables, one on the state of Teller County and Woodland Park, the other on childcare and healthcare. Also, I would like to give everybody a quick reminder that it is CDS season. So if you have congressionally directed spending applications that you are considering, you have between now and the 27th of this month to get those in. If you have any questions, you can contact me at any time. My email is jesse_cruz@hickenlooper.senate.gov. But thank you so much for having me here this morning. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right, sticking on the federal theme. So the legislative committee was able to meet on Monday. As part of the several state bills they considered, they also considered a federal bill. It's one that we have briefed on in the past, but at the last time we met, we didn't have a whole lot of specifics yet. We generally knew what it was going to be, but we wanted to make sure as the bill text came out that we had something and bill number to give you something to act on. And so the committee did recommend on Monday to endorse a support position on HR 7437. This is called the Basics Act. As the name implies, it is a back to basics bill. This is one that we are a member of both the National Association of Regional Councils as well as the Association of Metropolitan Planning Organizations. Those two organizations have endorsed this bill. I worked with both sponsors to get it introduced. Also a member of this coalition are National Association of Counties, National League of Cities, I believe U.S. Mayors, National Association of Development Organizations, the people who are on the ground actually building a lot of these projects. This is a bill that right now has bipartisan support with Michigan and Pennsylvania as the prime lead sponsors on this bill. And what this bill does, it incorporates a lot of what we want to see in the federal reauthorization package. And this bill would be able to target bridge funding to the locals. A lot of times it kind of gets sucked up at the state level and really never makes it down to the people who are managing a lot of these bridges, which are the counties and the cities. Adjust the formula funding to provide more direct funding to local and regional program delivery, encourages and maintains safety programs. We've been very successful, and I know all of us are involved, whether you're doing your own projects at the city level or at the regional level with the Safe Streets for All projects that are going on. Increases funding for metropolitan planning organizations like us, as well as a dedicated funding stream for rural transportation organizations. It allows them to be able to do it on their own, whereas in Colorado right now, that's really supported at the state level. And then it, like I said, just brings more local control down to these federal transportation dollars. Like I said, this is a bill that covers a lot of what we are looking for in the federal reauthorization package. The only thing it doesn't cover is the population formula. We're continuing to work on that one, but this bill really covers everything else that we're looking for in federal reauthorization, which is expected to get underway, depending on who you hear today, could be next year. We're hearing everything in between. I'm going to defer to Andy. I know he's been involved in these meetings as well. If there's anything I missed or anything that we need to add to this bill.
Spot on. The only other thing I'll mention is that there was a joint letter signed by a bunch of statewide associations across the country. CCI and CML both signed on. So I think a lot of county associations, city and town associations in each state are getting behind this as well. So just want to let you know both CCI and CML are on board. But no, great summary. We think it's a really good proposal and would love to see the principles within the Basics Act incorporated within the reauthorization bill or passed as a standalone bill. It could help us in a lot of ways.
Any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Stone.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just as kind of a back brief also for those of us who were in Washington DC last week for NACO, we were able to meet with transportation officials and talked a lot about the Reauthorization Act. And one of the key points that they put out there was that the current chair of that committee, of the Transportation Committee, is term limited. And he's term limited without passing the reauthorization, and he would be the first person forever to be chair of that committee and not pass a reauthorization. So it's kind of like a feather in the cap of that. So we do have not only an opportunity for reauthorization, but potentially to wrap in this Back to Basics Act. And I also wanted to point out, Andy, you made the comment earlier before we gavelled in. This is for Jesse and representing Senator Hickenlooper. There currently is not a Senate side to the Back to Basics bill, although we're obviously hoping that they'll sign on in what way that they can. But this is one way to to take that revenue and ensure that it gets all the way to the streets and bridges that are in cities and counties. And again, bipartisan and beginning to get a lot of traction. We felt like in DC, a lot of the representatives already knew about it, and those that didn't, we briefed them.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, one more comment I will make. And with all the organizations that Jared mentioned between ACO, National League of Cities, AMPO, NARC, the ones we're affiliated with, they've never been in tighter alignment than they are right now around these principles. So I think that speaks volumes around the nature of the bipartisanship with this and just the opportunity that we have in front of us. So just wanted to mention that as well.
Okay, thank you. What is next?
We would be entertaining just the board to approve the committee's recommendation on the federal bill, and then we'll start with state stuff.
Okay, I would take a motion to approve support of the Basics Act.
So moved. Mayor Case.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You opposed? Okay, thank you. Now do we want to go into the state report? Yes, we have to.
If we want to, yeah. And so the committee also met, and we spent a lot of time reviewing a lot of the state positions. This is where I'm going to be a little bit flexible. I kind of wanted to go directly to House Bill 1226. This is manage emissions from electric generating units. The committee had a lot of questions that were beyond my scope, and so I used my phone a friend feature. We have Dan Hodges from Colorado Springs Utilities who's online right now. I did forward along some of his questions, but Dan, if you don't mind, kind of if you could, just an overview, and then I'll open it up to the board. Right now, the committee took a monitor position just because I think a lot of questions are still in play. But this is your chance to hear directly from the source. So Dan, go for it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Wanted to just give everybody an update on sort of the warp and woof of this bill, what it's seeking to do, and how it impacts Springs utilities. The majority of this bill, in terms of legislative text, is focused on creating a framework for utilities that are recipients of a federal emergency 202C must-run order. And that's a particular portion of the Federal Power Act, whereby the administration can direct a power plant to run for up to 90 days and sort of not be beholden to state or federal regulations on emissions or operations. And it's sort of done in the light of there's a national emergency that requires the power output from those units. I'm sure you all have been following the news and saw that the Craig units in Craig, Colorado, were designated with a 202C must-run order. That power plant does not impact Colorado Springs utilities. We do have colleagues at Platte River Power Authority that are partners in that unit. But at the end of the day, that action and sort of the state's response to what those utilities must do if they receive an order like that doesn't have a direct impact on Colorado Springs utilities, other than I'll say this. The real intent of this legislation, which was brought by the Sierra Club, was to require the utilities to sort of track the cost of compliance with a federal order like this and say that these utilities need to disclose, how much it costs for them to make the necessary upgrades to keep the unit running, and to really sort of flag, we think, as a way to sort of shame the administration, the federal administration, into driving costs onto Colorado ratepayers. There's another portion of the bill, Section 2, which seeks to prescribe technology-specific emission limits on any coal-fired electric generating unit that's in operation after 2029. That particular piece of the statute of the legislation is of very particular concern to Colorado Springs utilities, as we have notified the state of Colorado and our partners at the General Assembly that we will not be able to retire the Ray Nixon power plant by 2030, as we had previously planned to do. And if we are required to install a technology-specific control, in particular for this case for NOx, for nitrous oxide, we would be looking at about $128 million worth of control equipment. And we testified in opposition to the bill, sort of highlighting the irony on the one hand of the bill proponents being very concerned about new costs being forced upon Colorado's electric ratepayers, and then on the other hand, not really caring about new costs that are forced upon Colorado's electric ratepayers. They seem to be rather selective in their desire to protect Colorado ratepayers from continued rate impacts. The other irony of this legislation is if it were adopted and if the AQCC were to determine that, yes, indeed, technology-specific controls were appropriate for the Ray Nixon unit, it would require us to operate that unit into at least 2040 or later in order to recover the necessary investments that would be required to install that pollution control equipment. Something that we're not seeking right now, and we don't think the sponsors really want to see happen, is that unit run any longer than is absolutely necessary. Despite our sort of pleas for help and our ask that we come up with some common sense bipartisan solutions to our current resource adequacy dilemma, we were not supported in our request for this bill to die, and it advanced on a straight party line vote out of the committee and is now sitting in the House Appropriations Committee. So we have significant concerns about the financial impact this could potentially drive on our community, on our ratepayers, and the potential that this could be used to force a stranded investment. And we think that is bad public policy and really sort of looking to leverage the sort of the legislative process to go kind of above and beyond what the natural environmental controls would otherwise be required for a unit like this, for the stated emissions purposes being sought. So it's a lot of words on my behalf, but we just wanted to get the PPACG up to speed on why we oppose this legislation. I'm happy to answer any questions at this point.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Hodges? Go ahead,
President,
Councilman.
if I could. Hey, Dan, this is Dave Donaldson. And to boil that down into, say, one or two sentences, would you say if this passes, it would put in jeopardy Nixon power plant in the future, and that's 200 megawatts, 20% of our power, and it would cause a rate increase if that was to happen to provide the electricity to replace that?
I would maybe say it this way instead, that it would drive a rate increase to install the necessary control equipments and would require us to keep the unit on longer than we would otherwise plan to recover those investments. Now, I'll say this, if there's a pathway to keep Nixon on through 2040, that actually does bring net rates down, because it would then require us not to make other investment in replacement resources. And this is the one point we've been trying to make to anybody who will listen. It is our cheapest resource. It is a false narrative when we hear that, coal is the most expensive resource. Not for us in our particular operating circumstance. It's absolutely not. But that doesn't mean we're not committed to our state goals and achieving those, but we want to do so in a way that is, respectful to our ratepayers and to the economic vitality of our community. So this bill, it wouldn't necessarily threaten the shutdown of Nixon. It would prolong it, which may not be a bad thing, other than if the proponents then were to seek through other legislative means a forced earlier retirement. It would strand an investment, which would be nefarious. And we really hope that this doesn't move forward because we hope that the rest of the General Assembly, at least the governor's office, can see through the ruse that is being played here.
Okay, yeah, it's increased uncertainty. It makes it difficult for Colorado Springs utilities to understand what the future is. Is that
Absolutely.
accurate?
Absolutely.
So
Would it be helpful? Well, we'll make a decision on the position. I guess we're currently in a monitor position. Madam President.
Go ahead, Mayor Thompson.
I was actually going to make it's too early, a recommendation that we change our position to.
I would second that.
Okay. Relying on the expertise of other individuals in this room who have utilities experience, I would say that a motion to oppose is in order, and I would be in support of that. So is there any further discussion on that? All right. All in favor of opposing this legislation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes, and we appreciate members of the Colorado Springs Utilities Board helping us with that. So now we need to approve the whole legislative report.
We do. We got some other bills
Okay.
to do, but Dan, I just want to thank you very much for jumping on, and I know it was kind of a last minute request. We will let you go and keep doing what you're doing. So
thank you, Dan.
Thank you. We appreciate the partnership of PPACG. Thank you. Have a great day.
Alrighty. So committee also took some other positions on bills that are right there right now. One was a change in position, or I'm sorry, two are change in position. So 1001 and 1102. The last time the board met, that we were in a monitor position on both those bills. On 1102, that was one where that was kind of like for those on the legislative committee, that was a quickly scheduled meeting because that bill was moving quickly through committee. And so the committee met at the end of February to take an opposed position on 1102. And then on Monday, decided to change the position on 1001 from amend to oppose. And the new bills that the committee opted to take a opposed position on 1269, this is transit access. This is a bill that would we have a lot of issues. We have a lot of concerns in terms of unfunded mandate. This would specifically for MMT be about $3 million requirement for them to implement specifically some passes for those experiencing homelessness. This bill, as written, would also apply to Fountain Transit, and the way it's written would also apply to Teller Senior Coalition. So there's a lot of concerns. There's also some language requirements. It's also partly a local control issue, just because it's now the state dictating local rates and how providers decide to set their rate structure. And so that's a bill that we had concerns with on 1269. 1272, this is extreme temperatures worker protections. You guys might remember a similar bill last year. This is back again, a little bit different coding on it, but it's essentially the same thing. And we had took an opposed position for essentially the same reasons as last year. And then 1308, this is one that we had been hearing a lot on. This is the lot splitting bill that we had been hearing about. So it is scheduled for St. Patrick's Day next week. So those are the bill positions, the new bill positions that the committee opted to take on Monday. That is up for approval today. Before we go, I know we have Jen Castle who's able to join us. Happy to give a more update if we want to go to Jen as well from our lobbying team.
Okay, let's hear from Jen. Go ahead. Or does anyone have questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I was going to say, I think Jared did a fabulous job giving an overview of those bills. The Senate right now is debating the Home Act. It had been delayed for the past 2 days, and I think mainly because of needing to gather amendments. But that bill is going on right now.
And that's 1001. Just heads up. That's that bill.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so if there are no questions, we do meet for our legislative committee on Monday mornings at 8:30. virtual meeting if you're unable to come down. And so we do spend, and we appreciate Jared. We appreciate everybody who spends a lot of time going through this legislation. And then we take a deep breath and count down the days until they're out of session. So can we have a motion? Go ahead.
Well, a correction, right now we're meeting every other Monday,
Every other Monday.
not on the every Monday schedule yet. Yet.
We're getting
I
close
think
to
we
that.
need to discuss that. Yeah. So moving fast.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the legislative report and fully accept the positions on these bills?
So moved.
A second. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So now we're going to take a few things out of order on our agenda. We're going to go into our safety briefing with John Liasatos.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Board of Directors. Actually, we're going to kind of bifurcate or split this item. I was going to give you the doom and gloom of the numbers. And then at the end, we were going to surprise John Henry and recognize him. But apparently the cat, so to speak, is out of the bag. So let's not pretend anymore. So if with your permission, we'd just like to take a minute to recognize John Henry for all of his years of service to this community. And then with your indulgence, we do have somebody else who would like to make a quick presentation and then maybe a photo. So when I first met John Henry, about 5 years ago now? Hey, who called you up? You called. We had I was very impressed by everything that he had and Miley had done with Drive Smart Colorado, and we had a lot of great conversations. And again, the leadership of this board to bring Drive Smart under our umbrella. And he had mentioned to me that at one point, when people had been of great service to Drive Smart in the community, they were given an award, like Driven to Success or something like that. And it was a Corvette hubcap that was mounted on a board. And I thought that would be great to honor John with. I sent my staff out to get a hubcap. Apparently that's illegal. And Deputy Chief, I'm supposed to tell you, you have wonderful holding cells. So anyway, with the whole hubcap thing just sort of nixed, we went to the sort of the next best thing. John had instituted this a few years back, but back in the old Westerns, the bad guys had black hats and the good guys had white hats. And he said, we're going to have a white hat award. And I think the most recent recipient up until today was Sam Cole with the Colorado Department of Transportation and all the work he's done in educating folks on traffic safety. So with that, Andy, if you could do this. And John, we'd like to present you with the Good Guy Award, because the White Hat Award, because when accidents happen or crashes happen, right? You know what's happened, right? There's a statistic, the little bar chart moves up, whatever. We know when bad things happen. But I can guarantee you, my friend, for the 30 plus years you've been doing this, there's a lot less people who have become a statistic. There are a lot more people who are alive because you cared and you did what you did. And for that, this community owes you a great debt. So thank you very much.
Oh, I will wear it. I will. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Directors, good morning. It is bittersweet to be standing with you this morning and cap off what has been more than 30 years of community engagement in the issue of traffic safety. When the Colorado Springs City Council put forth a call in 1989 for citizens to come together and try to do something to improve what was going on the roadways of Colorado Springs, I was pleased to stand up and take that on. I had done a good bit of work for the community in a volunteer basis on projects over time. And it was something that was close to my heart. I had two small children, a wife who I adore at the time and continue today. And it was an easy call, despite the fact I was selling my company that I'd run for 17 years, an advertising and public relations agency, to exclusively focus on public relations. But it was the right call. It was a good call. We put together an organization, Drive Smart. I have a number of people in the room with me here. Please raise hands. Let us know who you are and you're with us this morning, who were major founders and major supporters and key, absolutely key, to the implementation and development of this organization down through time. COVID came along. I'm editing a lot of years out of this discussion. COVID came along and we were in dire straits to continue the organization. CDOT was wonderful to work with, but we simply could not fulfill our obligations for contracting to get in front of groups and schools and community entities and community organizations. We made the decision to take the organization dark. We had been working with PPACG on some projects over the course of the preceding few years, and John Leosatos and Andy came to the table and said, we think it's important to keep this organization going. Would you be willing to do so? Yes. So we put together a partnership, brought Drive Smart in under the umbrella as a freestanding 501c3 under PPACG's umbrella. And I have to say, this was one of the high points of the entire years, all these decades. Working with the staff at the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments has been nothing short of phenomenal. Welling Clark had nice things to say a few minutes ago, and I absolutely concur with that. This is a bright, focused, thoughtful, decent group of people, and I have tremendous respect for them, each individual, and the work that they do. And it has been a phenomenal, phenomenal relationship. Leaving the organization in very, very good hands. I think Ed Dills needs not much introduction to this group. He's very, very well known, I think, within PPACG. On Friday, the board of directors of Drive Smart voted Ed in as the new president for Drive Smart. So he will be standing in front of you here as time goes forward. We also have a wonderful champion outreach person in Trish Iaquinta, who has taken the reins. Miley Gray, standing next to Trish, was my partner in this for more than 30 years. We shared tears and we shared the laughter and we shared all of it over time. Being housed in the police department as we were previously, we were very, very deeply in the details of crashes and things like that. And to see some of the things that was going on at the time was very, very difficult to see. Leave it at that. So today, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for the support of this organization. All of you have committed to us and given us of your time and your talent and your expertise. It is, as I said, very, very, very bittersweet to be standing here today, but I leave the organization in very good hands, solidly built on this foundation, clear mission, and lots of great projects and programs. So again, thank you, John. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate the opportunity, and I won't be a stranger. Fair enough. What do you think? What do you think? Thank you. Thank you.
Deputy Chief, don't mosey off into the sunset quite yet, Deputy Chief. Okay, something for you.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, city council members, Rainey and Donaldson. As I heard you talking, John, about 1989 and when this all started, it took me back to when I was a kid and Joel Blair, a family friend of ours, was struck by a school bus and killed. That led to a lot of these things. And it reminded me of that when you said that, because where that takes me is that for almost 40 years now, you have been dedicated to the safety of children and people throughout our community. And that is all the way from little kids like me back then to children that are here now and to members of our community that are looking for safe roads and a safe community. And as a police department, the number one concern that we consistently receive in the city is traffic and traffic safety. We are indebted to you forever for your work 40 years on a personal level
And on a professional level and as a city and as a police department, we are so thankful. Chief Vasquez could not be here this morning, but he wanted me to bring, he has special coins that he only gives very, very, very rarely, specifically from the chief of police. On behalf of the department, in recognition for all that you have done for all of us, on behalf of the chief especially, I'm going to say thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, and now we'll take some time out for a couple photos.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate everyone's indulgence. We'll do this quick as possible, but. Get out here. I'm up here. Come on, Trish.
So we can have a photo with friends and a photo with everybody else. Come on.
And again, I appreciate everyone's indulgence and taking the time to do this, but it was very meaningful for us as staff because we've all come to be very attached to John over the years. But that being said, I'll do the rest of the safety briefing later if there's time. But again, if we do run out of time, we'll bump it and I'll do it next month. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we can go back to, if Paul's ready, item 5B, the Military Installation Resilient Review Grant.
Madam Chair, board members, I'm Paul Rochette. I'm the Military Planning Program Manager for those few I haven't met yet. And wanted to do a quick overview of the grant that we are proposing to send to the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, a Department of War program. And just for a little background, we've been doing work with Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, which acronym of OLDCC. So we've been working with them for about 10 years. This will be our fourth grant from them. Essentially, the purpose of this grant is to work on the military-civilian interface issues. And over these years, we've worked on areas like the airport interface compatible use zone. We helped get some of the money for the new design to North Gate of Peterson. We've done work on Plan COS. And the past few years, we've been working a lot on wildfire and related issues such as that. The grant that we're just finishing up now at the end of this month, we've worked on getting a grant from what's called the REPI Challenge Program. We brought in about $3 million to do work on west side of USAFA and down around Cheyenne Mountain. We've done some community wildfire protection plans for Monument, Woodman Valley and Highway 115, feasibility study for Jackson Creek. And we just finished up just this last fall, a very large study at Air Force Academy where we hired a consulting firm and we looked at wildfire risk to USAFA from a number of different potential wildfire sources. And then we looked at what would happen if we had a major wildfire. And then after that, we had major flooding, and we looked at what the debris flow and the brown water flow would be to look at the risk to the critical infrastructure of USAFA. Going forward, we have 4 programs that we're going to propose, that we are proposing, and we'd really like the board's approval for this before we move forward. But I'll go over those 4. they're really I think they're really cool. But one is with the state, the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. They have received a grant from Old CT to look at a statewide critical infrastructure analysis that really looks at any kind of either man-made or natural risk to critical infrastructure and its secondary and tertiary downstream impact all the way down to communities and military installations. We're going to be assisting them with work in the Pikes Peak region as their pilot for this whole program, serving to facilitate and communicate between the state's organization and our community, our 3 counties, and really try and get this analysis going. That one is also, it's done through the Colorado Information Analysis Center, also called Kayak. I don't know why it's called Kayak, but anyway, it's it's really an exciting program and we're looking forward to that. The second one is last year we did some community wildfire protection plans. We're going to follow that up with going after some grants from the state Department of Natural Resources to do actual wildfire mitigation. We're looking at a project between the Monument Fire Department and USAFA and the Highway 115 Fire Department and Fort Carson. And the whole idea is if we can get these grants, it's possible to use some of those dollars on the military installation. Probably not going to happen, but we can also use the dollars that are being spent by the military installations for the 50% match that's required to get the money to use on the civilian side of the fence. So we're going after those. That's exciting. Next one is really a big project based on what we did for USAFA last year for the wildfire and post-fire flooding. We are going to be doing the same thing for Fort Carson for the streams that flow off of Cheyenne Mountain. And essentially the purpose of that will be to look at how bad could the post-fire flooding be? And then as it crosses Highway 115, what are the risks to Fort Carson's critical infrastructure, such as their rail yard and other critical infrastructure? We hired a consulting firm out of Arizona last year for the USAFA project. We'll be using the same firm. They do a lot of both fire mapping as well as hydrological mapping and really get a great understanding of what the impacts of that flooding might be in terms of volume, location, impacts, as well as mitigation that can be done and what can we do to prevent the damage if we know that eventually there's going to be a major fire and a flood. So that's going to be a very interesting one. And the fourth project is at the Fort Carson Partnership and Strategy session 2 weeks ago at Air Force Academy. Each and every installation talked about some of the issues, and every single one of them mentioned encroachment. Encroachment means many things to different agencies. It could be air, it could be transportation, it could be housing development, it could be wildfire, it could be a lot of different things. What we are planning on doing is really facilitating the communication between the installations and the community. And that's elected officials, that's planning departments, that's Colorado Springs Utilities, and that's all the different outside the fence agencies, and create an environment where we can, the installations can talk about what are the encroachment issues they're concerned about. Then the communities can talk about what are they doing about it, or maybe obstacles that are preventing them. And then at the final end, coming up with some ideas and plans, what we might be able to do to alleviate some of those encroachment concerns. We plan on hiring a consultant to do some of that facilitation at the end because it can be a very difficult conversation. So those are our 4 projects. The post-wildfire flooding, we have money put in the budget for the consultant to do this work of about $200,000. And essentially, the total program, we're anticipating about $460,000, of which $51,000 is the local match and $409,000 comes from Old CC. So this is a 12-month program, 1 FTE, that's me. And but I'm looking from participation from all of you in the community and the installations, and we're going to get this thing done. I think it's going to have a lot of value to both the installations and the community. So with that, I'd like to take questions and comments, and then Andy, and you have some comments to make, and go from there.
Yeah, I guess you covered it pretty thoroughly, Paul. The only thing I would mention too is that we're probably going to set up, calling it for now, a regional leaders group, and would like a couple of representatives from the PPACG board on there, along with installation leadership, community members, and others. So yeah, if folks have an interest and want to serve on there, we'd love to get somebody from the city, from the county, from the city of Fountain as well, just given the Fort Carson connection. But yeah, otherwise, I think Paul covered it pretty well.
What type of time commitment are you?
Probably not a real heavy lift, about probably quarterly meetings of that group, and provides overarching support, gets briefings from Paul and the team, the consultant team, on progress we're making, and gives us direction on how we might approach some of these issues, including the last one, the one around encroachment, because that's a little thornier, and we just haven't had a chance to really dig into that quite yet. That came from our funding partners at Old CC to take that on. So we've had some really preliminary discussions, but really need to scope that out a little bit further.
I'm seeing maybe 5 or 6 meetings for all 4 projects, and not everybody's going to be on every single project. Some of you may be most interested in encroachment, where others are more interested in wildfire and post-fire flooding. And so we're going to try and design it so that you can mix and match what you want to be involved with.
Mayor Thompson, Commissioner Weissong.
So I remember sitting in the Air Force Academy talking about the very first JLUS project, Joint Land Use Study. Sorry, I'm a little froggy today. I remember sitting in Air Force Academy at a meeting talking about starting the very first JLUS Academy. Andy, I think were you just here, or?
I got here just as we wrapped it up, and it was adopted end of 2018, early 2019.
Okay.
Yep.
And the results of that study were the exact same thing we have here, number 5. Encroachment was a major concern 10 years ago when we did that study. Our military bases are pleading with us about encroachment. And I think we really, really need to take it seriously. We need to look at that fine line between private property rights and what is the benefit to the greater community. Sometimes that has to outweigh, especially when people are asking for a change of use or zoning. I think it's critical. We cannot afford, City of Fountain cannot afford to lose Fort Carson. And I think a lot of other people, they were honest, it would make a great impact on their community too. So I think that needs to be one of the major issues that we figure out how to address and bring it really to the public, because it's been floating around for over 10 years now, and they're really still pleading with us for the same thing. So if you haven't read the original Joyce Land Use Study, it's on file here. And you can go back and read those original recommendations, see where we've come and where we still need to continue working. And of course, the City of Fountain will be more than happy to take 2, 3, or 4. No, I'm kidding. At least a seat at that. We'll figure it out. We'll take it back and figure it out.
Main action, the reason we wanted to bring this to the board today, just to brief you, to let you know we're ready to submit. We think by the end of March, we got to clean up a few things, but it's pretty much ready to go. But any grant application over $250,000 does require board approval. So that's the main action for today.
We should vote on this. If so, I make a motion to approve this recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And just as we get some of those meetings going, if you let it be known when they are, I think the encroachment issue is a really serious one as well.
We'll start that in April, because
Okay.
the grant begins April 1st. So,
All right. Okay, thank you very much.
all right. Thank you all.
All right, our TIP program amendment number 8, Josh Squires. And you also get the next one too.
Yes, I'm lucky. Good morning, board. Thank you all for your time this morning. This item is Amendment 8 to our fiscal year 25 through 29 Transportation Improvement Program. For this amendment, I just want to briefly explain why the reconciliation is necessary. So when we develop the TIP, CDOT provides PPACG with its estimated funding targets for each federal program that we manage, including STB Metro, Transportation Alternative Program, and the Carbon Reduction Program. Those estimates are used to program projects in the years that the TIP spans. Once the actual funding amounts are finalized by the federal government, CDOT updates the allocations for each region. So for fiscal year 26, the original estimate provided by CDOT ended up being higher than the actual amount that was available, which meant that PPACG's TIP was slightly overprogrammed. As part of the new TIP development cycle, TAC held a project selection workshop to review project priorities and program funding for the upcoming TIP years. This year, that workshop was held on January 15th as the TAC worked to program funding for the fiscal year 27 through fiscal year 31 TIP. And during that process, TAC also decided it would be beneficial to reconcile the fiscal year 26 funding at the same time. While fiscal year 26 will not be part of this new TIP document, reviewing it alongside the programming, the new programming amount allowed TAC to better see the overall picture and project schedules and the available funding across the program years. In cases where a project funding was reduced in fiscal year 26 to help balance this program, that funding was generally shifted into the later years of the new TIP. So the projects are still planned to receive funding just in those later years between fiscal year 27 and fiscal year 31. So we'll dive into some of those numbers here. Sorry that spreadsheet is a little small for you guys to see there. It is included in your packet as well. So on the STB Metro side, funding is being reduced from Woodman Road, a Colorado Springs project with the TIP ID 2023-004 by approximately $3.25 million in STB Metro funds. Those funds have been reallocated to the El Paso County Wetland Bank Acres Drive project with a TIP ID of 2019-015, where approximately $2.98 million in STB Metro funds were awarded. For carbon reduction program, funding has been reduced for MMT vehicle purchase project, TIP ID 2019-091. This is being reduced by approximately $367,000. On the TAP side, we actually had a surplus in fiscal year 2026. So this has been programmed for 2 eligible projects, the first being Manitou Springs, Ruxton Avenue reconstruction with a TIP ID of 2021-007. And this is receiving $800,000 in TAP funding. And the second project was El Paso County's Galley Road sidewalks with a TIP ID of 2021-009. This is receiving $640,000 in TAP funds. Both projects are ready to be processed. The detailed funding amounts and project overview reports have been included in your packet. And before I wrap up this item, I would like to take a moment to thank our local jurisdictions and members of our TAC for their collaboration throughout this process. Addressing the fiscal year 26 shortfalls required coordination across multiple project sponsors and jurisdictions who are willing to work together and adjust their project timing to ensure that the program remained balanced. We especially appreciate the TAC's leadership, Gail Sturtman from Colorado Springs and Victoria Chavez from El Paso County, and working through the funding challenges and helping to develop a solution that keeps projects moving forward while maintaining that fiscal constraint in our region. So staff today is requesting approval of amendment number 8 to the fiscal year transportation improvement program. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions? Mayor Thompson.
I just have a comment. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, hold on, go ahead. Councilmember Brandy.
I just wanted to echo the importance of the TAC, having served on the TAC and served on the board. And I appreciate that the collaboration is still happening. And I know these conversations aren't easy, but at the end of the day, we've got to get along literally year after year, decade after decade. So I just wanted to extend my kudos to the fact that we're still doing our best as a region to stretch these dollars as far as we can. And I appreciate everyone's diligence and working together. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mayor Thompson.
Randy, since I know you're up there, I'm just curious, replace a Texas low water crossing. Randy, what's a Texas low water crossing?
That basically means that you fortify the ground so that water can go over it. So when there's water going over it, you can generally drive through it if it's low water. But if it's high water, then you don't cross it at all. So it's a way that you don't install a culvert, you don't install a bridge. You know, when it's raining, you're going to have water going over that, but you fortify it so that you still have that trail or that road once the storm passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Councilmember Donovan.
Thanks, Madam President. Is the reduction in the Woodman project just due to decreased funding, or was it shifted somewhere?
It was shifted. So it was shifted in the next item. I believe it received more funding in fiscal year 30 and 31 of our new TIP. El Paso County Wetland Bank Acres Drive project was ready to go and be obligated. So Colorado Springs and El Paso County worked out a deal to shift that funding.
Okay, and then the Woodman Road is anticipated to be done when?
I believe in our TIP, sorry, I do not have that in front of me. In our TIP, the final funding that it has is either in fiscal year 30 or fiscal year 31 to be obligated. It has funding throughout fiscal year 27, I believe, all the way through fiscal year 31.
Okay. Okay, and that was the thinking, is this other one is ready to go?
Yes.
Was the Woodman also ready to go or not? Or do you know?
It was able to be pushed back without hurting the project.
Unlike the other one?
Yes.
What would have gotten hurt if we pushed the other one back?
Pardon?
What would have happened? What would have been the negative result of pushing the other one and leaving the money in the Woodman Road?
Just cost overruns and an increase in the other project.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? All right, with that, I will take a motion to approve item 5C.
Motion to approve item 5C.
Mayor Dixon, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. I believe, Josh, you have the next item too.
Yes, I do. So I believe this was brought to you guys as an information item of last month. So the TIP is the region's 5-year program that identifies which transportation projects will receive federal funding and regional funding along with state funding. It serves as the region's fiscally constrained document, ensures that projects that PPACG programs are consistent with our adopted long-range transportation plan and federal requirements. So the draft TIP included in your packet programs are PPACG funding of STB Metro, Transportation Alternatives Program, and Carbon Reduction Program for fiscal year 27 through fiscal year 2031, and all other funding sources that PPACG does not necessarily have control of. It reflects the results of the regional project selection process, funding discussions that have taken place over the past several months, and updated costs and schedule information that have been provided by our project sponsors and jurisdictions. As part of the new TIP development cycle, like I said in the last amendment, TAC held a project selection workshop in January where they programmed fiscal year 27 through 31 funding and shifted some funding around. You'll also notice that the TIP document itself has been updated and reorganized. These updates were made to better align with federal TIP requirements and reflect the most recent feedback that the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments received during its most recent certification review. The revisions improve how fiscal constraint, project information, and supporting documents are presented in this document. The draft also includes updated funding tables, project descriptions, fiscal constraint documentation, and revised appendices. All projects included are fiscally constrained with anticipated revenues and consistent with federal guidance. And the 5th year of the program does remain illustrative. One area of focus from the review was more clearly documenting the relationship between our electronic TIP, or what we call our eTIP system, and the official TIP document. The ETIP system is where projects are managed, updated, and tracked throughout the year on a software, while the TIP document serves as the official record of the approved program and provides the narrative fiscal constraint documentation and supporting information required under federal regulations. The updated document better explains the relationship between the two and how PPACG will maintain updates to both systems. A few highlights from the programming included the Woodman Road shifting funding into the last years of the TIP for approximately 7.3 million in STP Metro funds were programmed in fiscal year 31. We also programmed our regional traffic data service consistently across all 5 years of the TIP to support ongoing regional data needs. MMT projects have shifted funding into the later years to better align with delivery schedules and major capital projects programmed in the outer years of the TIP, including Link Road reconstruction, Burgess and Balmer intersection improvements, Colorado Avenue improvements, and Serpentine area improvements. Carbon reduction program funds are also distributed across multiple years for projects such as Galley Road sidewalks and MMT vehicle purchases projects. So following today's action, the next step will be to release the draft TIP for a 30-day public comment period. So after incorporating any feedback that we receive, the final fiscal year 27 through 31 TIP will return to the board for adoption in May. Yes, May. And upon adoption, it will go into effect on July 1st of 2026. So today's staff is requesting a recommendation to release the fiscal year 27 through 31 Transportation Improvement Program for public comment. I'm happy to take any questions that the board may have.
Are there any questions? All right, this is exciting reading. You've got close to up to M for the appendix if you want to read the whole thing and bring it back with comments. So the motion would be that we move to release this for public comment for the next, what, 30 days?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Rainey, so moved.
Okay, Councilman Rainey moved and Mayor Thompson seconded. Works. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you for all your hard work on this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, board members.
Okay, let's go on back to our exciting safety briefing. That's you, Mr. Liasados.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Board of Directors. So we've gotten in the habit, I think since 2019 or so, of doing a briefing to the board in the beginning of the year to kind of go over what our safety trends are doing. Previously, we had a former employee do that. So now I'm going to give it a whirl for now, and we'll see how it goes. One thing that I wanted to mention is we have done this in the past as a workshop that's actually been after the board meeting. We thought that given the sort of where we are, since we did a workshop last year at this point, it would probably just be best to do a briefing. So I want to thank Shane, your staff, Jason Nelson helped get a lot of the data. A lot of the data, by the way, if you're interested, it can be found on the CDOT website. And then from CDOT headquarters, when we had our Drive Smart board meeting on Friday, where Ed was named the new president of Drive Smart, there was a lot of motorcycle questions. So I sent the presentation to David Swanka, and he gave me a whole bunch of motorcycle data that we can run over. That's a poor choice of words, that we can go through together here. Those particular slides are not in your packet. And David, once I sent him the whole presentation, unfortunately was able to update the numbers to include more fatalities since we originally pulled the presentation together. So presentation I'm about to give is
is different than what's in your packet, but we can send that out. So the first slide, if you don't mind, Tommy, is just the national trend appears to be going down. And again, these are numbers that you really can't read on the screen, but hopefully, again, what you have in your packet, you can see that there's been an overall nationwide decrease in deaths or fatalities rather, about 16% or 12% over from 23 to 25, and 12% from 24 to 25. So unfortunately, Colorado is not following that national trend. Next slide, please. You can see that we're headed trending in the right direction from 22 to 23 to 24, and then in 25 we had an increase. And again, that 26 number, this is now different than what was in your packet because unfortunately there has been more fatalities in just a couple of weeks since we started pulling this together. Then we broke down the data by county. El Paso County, you can see that again, your trend has been holding steady for the last few years. So maybe that's a positive note. Next slide, please. We also grabbed the Park County numbers, and again, a different sample size, so it's a little more difficult, but 24 and 25 holding steady, and 26, hopefully that will continue to be no fatalities. Next slide, Teller County. And again, small sample size, but you can see in 25 there is that huge 6. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Commissioner Stump, but was there one big accident, or was it just a bad year or bad weather in 25? Like that just kind of went off the chart there. 25 was bad. Hopefully 26 will be better for you guys.
Yeah, actually it was bad, and actually we've met with CDOT about some of those issues. So hopefully, we can get some adjustments and safety improvements on a couple of the major intersections that are contributing.
Okay, and again, we're happy to help in any of those conversations where you need us. The next slide is if you don't mind, is the motorcycle trend. Again, this is not in your packet. This was new based on a lot of questions that we received. But again, the state as a whole, you can see the motorcycle fatalities are way above where they were prior to the pandemic. While there was a slight decrease, we're not starting out 26 in a great way at all. So then we break down these numbers, and I don't want to make a long meeting even longer, but I'll just sort of hit on quickly. The next slide is the numbers we have for El Paso County. And then the next slide, and again, David didn't have numbers for the other counties, excuse me. Then we have the motorcycle trend by county. So you can see the different years, and what David Swanka gave us was El Paso County, Park County, and Teller County. So he wanted to make sure that we had the data. And again, Teller County may be part of your bad 25 was, of those 6, 2 of them were motorcycle fatalities. Moving on to the next slide. This is hard to read if you're reading up off the screen, but hopefully you have what's in front of you. Commissioner Williams had mentioned that the El Paso coroner, when she released her annual report, said that of the motor vehicle collisions, the skipping ahead to the next slide, that reckless driving had overtaken impaired driving. And so, Commissioner, when you said that, we were like, well, let's dig into those numbers a little bit. So we got the coroner's report, and we put them into the slides. So this is letting you know drugs is if you go back to the previous slide, drugs was still the #1 cause of death in El Paso County, with motor vehicle related injuries at 36. And then we had the motorcycles and pedestrian injuries, part of that, as well as down there was a one fatality involving an e-scooter. So you're never safe. Then the next slide, please. And then taking a deeper dive into the coroner's report. This is the factoid that we've highlighted in yellow that Commissioner Williams had mentioned, that reckless driving was 41% of the motor vehicle related fatalities and impaired driving was second. So that's a little bit of a change where again, we see more instance of where people are being reckless or what. It's not like the old days. And again, since I just turned 60, I can say old days now, right? I got my card. I got my AARP card that allows me to say that. But again, you would have a certain section of the population that they just drove the way they wanted to drive, and consequences, what the heck. And then you had the folks that were driving impaired, and that was the thing that we could identify, and we would try to come up with messaging to look at. But more and more since the pandemic, we see just sort of normal folks who get really upset about things. So maybe that's a commentary on the world as a whole or whatever. If you can go to the last slide, please. On the why, I tried to sort of look around for that. And this is very difficult because so many accidents happen for a lot of different reasons. And to sort of put like one thing, obviously, if we could do that, that's what we would target, and we would make things better. So it's not an easy answer, but I felt like I had to sort of look for something. So Consumer Affairs had this article on road rage or whatever. And again, the first sort of factoid, the gun violence, don't worry about that. That's what made it road rage. But what I thought was interesting of the other sort of numbers that was generated is that Colorado is one of the highest things with ticketed offenses for aggressive driving. So we've got a lot of issues where people are taking sort of their anger out on other people when they're driving, and it isn't necessarily due to something they drank or smoked or whatever. So with that, I think I definitely have a question here, but I'll take any other questions, and I'll do my best to sort of answer. Or no, maybe I don't.
No, you're looking for questions, so I'll ask you one. It's just amazing that it says, in that first three lines that in Colorado has the highest number of violations for aggressive or careless driving or speeding per 100,000 people at over 8 times the national average.
Yeah.
So I can only think that we're just enforcing, because I have a hard time believing that we're 8 times worse than the rest of the country. But I would imagine we just enforce and actually cite. So when I look at how many tickets, there's a bunch in Colorado.
Yeah, and again, remember the different publications sort of do their things differently. There was another one, I think was, I can't remember it now, but I read through it and it was like, well, yeah, or Colorado is one of the most dangerous states. But then when you sort of read through all the stuff, their methodology was stuff that talked about like getting your car stolen and stuff that didn't really apply. So it's sort of like when, every year they have the world's best places to live, right? Colorado Springs on one list is 10, the other one, it's number 1. Well, because they have different criteria. So this was a little self-selecting in that I was purposely looking to know, I've dealt with you guys a while now, and I know that when we finish a presentation like this, the question is always, well, why? What's at the trigger? And I really struggled with trying to find one sort of thing. And this was, again, even though it was adjacent because it was more about the road rage and things, that's why the very first one has to do with gun violence. That's a that doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about here, but I didn't want to just cut it out. But that's the one thing that I found was that startling statistic of that we do have a lot more instances, it appears, in Colorado with this sort of aggressive and careless driving than anywhere else. And I think that relates back to some of the numbers that we're seeing for fatalities. I'm not an expert, I could be wrong.
What I've noticed, John, is you just mentioned trigger, and then you said we're going to target something
for
that. And the first thing is gun violence, and it makes me a little uncomfortable.
All right.
It's okay, Dave, I got your back. I just think.
Yeah, nobody was harmed in the making of this presentation.
Mayor Thompson.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating that on the slide that says deeper dive El Paso County Coroner Report, under the 39 accidents,
Can you go back to this slide you was talking about?
9 of the deaths had THC involved in them.
Yeah.
That to me, that I don't do math in public, but 9 out of almost 40, it's a little over 20%. And that to me is a significant rise in things. Maybe that's something Drive Smart wants to look at in their board.
Yeah.
But I guess the story here, if you're going to do THC, don't do the other stuff with it, because only one person died from just THC and everybody else had other stuff with it. But I think that's something the state of Colorado needs to look seriously at when they try to stand around and say there are no deaths involved in that product.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, I always find if you get a chance to have the coroner come and speak at one of your city council meetings, after they do their annual report, I think it's always very fascinating to see what she has to say. It really kind of sheds some light on what's going on in our community. So,
And thank you very much for sort of pointing that out a few months back. So that's why we asked to get the report, and we went back a couple of years, and we're using some of that data in the grant we're putting together. So again, thank you for pointing that out. I didn't know the coroner's report existed. So maybe next year we'll see if there's one for Park and Teller counties as well.
okay. Thank you very much. So now we're on to other reports and minutes. In our package, we have the Transportation Advisory Committee, the Community Advisory Committee, the Mobility Coordinating Working Group, the Regional Advisory Council, the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging, the Air Quality Working Group, go back to my agenda, the Water Quality Management Committee, and now we are up to our CDOT Transportation Monthly Update. And this is Shane.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board. Shane Ferguson, Colorado Department of Transportation. Not a whole lot to update from my end. I'll probably turn it over to John and Patty here in a moment to talk about projects, but just want to remind folks, just as we talked about just recently in some of these statistics, we are quickly approaching our construction season on our highways. And so just want folks to continue to be aware. We're definitely working with CSP on how enforcement can be applied across our construction zones. And so it's getting ready to be cone zone season. So just be aware, slow down, be aware of the folks, the men and women on the side of the roads that are working for you and our public. So with that, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to John Hall briefly to talk about construction projects. Any questions for me in general? All right, John.
Don't have much to update in terms of projects. The list has been pretty stable as we go into the new year. Obviously, Powers and Airport, again, having that big milestones, getting the traffic up over the bridge, Somewhere to Guard of the Gods. Both of those should be completing late this summer, mid to late summer. 67, the Woodland Park project, just north of 24. You'll see some activity here this month, again, getting that thing rocking and rolling with a estimated completion date to be done before July 4th. So that's what we're pushing hard for. A lot of traffic projects are springing up. We've got some advanced flashers, backlight installations at various locations, some signal projects coming for 2026 here for this year, various locations throughout town, signal installation and placement up there at County Line Road, for example, on 83. Traffic is pushing for a roundabout there, Colorado 83 Stagecoach as well to hopefully advertise this year and get under construction. And we've got wildlife fencing, as I've briefed before, up on south side of Monument on I-25. So in terms of the highlighted projects for 2027, that again, still no change on that. We have 24 Garrett to Woodman, 24 Judge Orr Road, and some improvements up there at Green Mountain Falls. Last month, when I briefed you all, there was some comments about 24 going up the canyon there, striping being hard to see. And I did talk to our traffic folks. They do have it on the priority list to get up there, especially a focus on getting the center skips, in there, as the weather here is in pretty good shape, but they're still trying to prioritize that work. It should happen in the next 60 days, though. I think we can I'll take questions first of all for the Pikes Peak area, slide, and then I'll switch over to Central from there.
I do have one question about the big wildlife overpass on 25.
Sure. In Greenland, north side of, in Douglas County.
There are cameras on that thing, right, to see which critters run across it?
Well, I'm going to say absolutely. From my involvement with the GAP project, I know they are putting cameras on all. I'm not firsthand knowledge on that, but I can tell you absolutely they are.
I just wondered if you're aware of a website where citizens can watch the pretty elephant.
I'm not, but I will be glad that Chuck Attardo would love to, they'll get PM of that project up there, would love to, I'm sure, answer questions on this. I'll ping him and try to find out. As long as we're paying for it.
So we have
to go back and be reunited with his mother.
I think I saw Bambi on the side of the road.
Oh. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, there are cameras live now, but they are not live to the public this time. Concerned about possibility. Stop. We have asked the question as to opening that to the public. We've asked the question about opening that more to the public. No answer yet, but more to come.
Like a 1 week delay.
Yeah.
Or my RTD bailed me on them. Appreciate that.
We're gonna do a tour request for the film, the animals.
I'll absolutely get you in contact.
Herd of 2 or more is a meeting of the animals of the state.
What we really want to see is a picture of the Douglas County Commissioners and the Castle Rock Town Council walking across it.
All right, board, just the Central Front Range projects, just for information. Again, pretty stable. 2026, we have 69 resurfacing that will be kicking off. 24 resurfacing out here east of Peyton through Calhan. That includes a passing lane eastbound, and 115 concrete preventive maintenance down there by Penrose. Some of the traffic projects that'll be ongoing as well this year. I'm sorry, some of the other projects that will be ongoing this year. We're going to finish off the Florissanta Divide 24 project, just some minor work still to get that done. And we're wrapping up some culvert lining in Canyon City. Sign replacements also on various corridors. And the upcoming projects for Central Front Range, US 50 resurfacing Penrose to the Pueblo County line. So that is under design right now, along with 9C Fairplay up to Future Pass resurfacing on that. And the last one is we put in for the build grant again for safety improvements there west of Canyon City, reconstructing and safety improvements 8 Mile Hill. So we're increasingly optimistic. Hopefully the third time will be a charm.
Okay, are there any questions?
Just
go ahead,
Mayor Dixon. Going up the pass again. Got a couple spots that have divots, but one of them is just continually wet. And it's a little odd, and one of them for getting surface water starting to come up and interfere. As you're coming around one of the curves, there's a depression, and it seems like it's always wet. So that's kind of a concern to me. I don't think the ESU water line goes through that. It's the westbound.
I will correspond with you. I'm pretty sure I have your email. Yeah, I'll correspond with you and try to get an exact location on that and see if we can.
I'll try to, as I go up the pass, I'll try to get a mile more.
That would be wonderful. It's westbound.
Yeah, it's westbound.
Okay. Yeah. We do have some some flexibility thanks to some RPP funds that you guys and Central Front Range has approved over the last year. Where we have the opportunity to maybe really tackle little things like that too. So,
Yeah, it's just something weird. I've noticed at first I thought it might have been water main coming down, but I don't think the water main goes on the inside.
definitely not shocking to have little springs every day now coming down from my house on Baptist Road. There's a spring right in the middle of it. But yeah, it's not unusual.
Yeah, you're right. It's not unusual. It's just something I've noticed here within the last several months.
Definitely following on that.
Mayor Thompson.
I would just like to thank CDOT for throwing some slurry, whatever stuff in that big bump we had coming off the road. Just now, it's just a bump. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. The 128. Thank you.
That looks like that's all the questions we have for you. Thank you for all you do. We really appreciate it. Okay. Our next item would be the STAC Advisory Committee update. We did meet, and I think the minutes for our meeting are in the folder. We just have not been doing a lot of exciting stuff at STAC, which is kind of disappointing. So there's not a lot of money, and it seems like many things, the money get taken out. We did review part of the 10-year plan. Maybe those are the minutes for the last month. I apologize. The interesting, I think the most exciting thing I've had from STAC all week is naming the Front Range passenger rail, either Coco or Fred. There were two others. Yeah, we came up with some pretty creative ideas ourselves. So apparently they want a good name before they try to go to the ballot. But the minutes from the STAC meeting are in there, and also from the Transportation Commission. There's just some frustration that a lot of money from transportation gets pulled off budget and goes into other things to balance the budget on the table. So any Front Range passenger rail update?
Actually, it's funny, you like literally stole my thunder. I was gonna say that right now, yeah, as it stands, Fred or Front Range Express Destinations leads the way on the polling they're doing. Coco's a close second, and then Colorado Ranger and Ranger Link are the other options for naming the train. Trainee McTrainface did die. So at some point, I think it was somebody had proposed that idea, but they killed it as in one of the nominees. But if you are interested in voting on that right now, www.ridethefrontrange.com/name the train. That's open until March 23rd. So cast a vote. Go ahead. They want to hear from the public. So
I know there's a great race in Boulder called, I think it's the Boulder. But since the sole purpose, as I understand it, of the Front Range Passenger Rail District is to raise a tax on everybody to pay for the train route that was never built to Boulder. I think it needs to include Boulder in its title.
no, I'm not arguing with you there. So,
but I would not hijack the Boulder because that I think is quite a famous race.
So what does COCO stand for?
Colorado Connection. I mean, they'll name the second Carmel, and yeah.
Personally,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they need to run it by the Walton family, because just so everybody knows too, they're one of their biggest backers right now. One of their biggest corporate sponsors is the Denver Broncos, because they want to stop when they build if they build a new stadium in the old rail yard.
So as somebody said, what is that, 8 home games a year, and they want you to pay for their rail stop for 8 home games a year. Just hear that, 8 games a year.
Right, but the Walton family is supportive of this, and they're willing to put millions of dollars on the table to see this happen. So because they want the Broncos emblem on one of the train cars.
They really should name the whole thing Blue Star. Okay. Just because of the big, course over by the airport. Actually, as a fan of the Denver Broncos, I'm fine with the Broncos Express. So name it for what it is. All right. Committee and commission vacancies are always listed in our folder. So now we'll go to the executive director's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'll just mention two things real quick. And these are both follow-ups to emails I sent out to the board over the past couple of weeks. But first one, I mentioned last week that we submitted a grant application for an air quality conference, an ozone conference. It came together fairly quickly, did it in conjunction with the North Front Range MPO up in Weldon and Larimer County. We see it as a great opportunity to keep raising awareness and sharing information around the challenges we're dealing with background ozone issues, wildfire impacts, international emissions, and all that good stuff. It was a $100,000 grant request to the Air Quality Enterprise. CSU down here is the one utility that pays into that enterprise. So I got a letter of support from Travis Deal. Really appreciate that. Fingers crossed, we feel pretty good about it. We're estimating that we can maybe hold a conference that could accommodate about 500 people. Big Colorado focus, but it's also going to focus on our more broadly the Intermountain West challenges we're dealing with in places like Phoenix and Salt Lake City and Las Vegas as well. But we've gotten a ton of interest and support so far. EPA has been super supportive. The state's actually been supportive as well, and CDPHE. We were trying to get a letter of support from the Air Pollution Control Division, and they were close but couldn't quite get something together in time. So fingers crossed, but we'll keep you posted. Pretty excited about the opportunity, and hopefully this leads to some strategies and improvements that we can actually see, ideally in the Clean Air Act, but additional guidance from EPA. So pretty excited about that. So I'll keep you posted. The event would be in October, most likely in Northern Colorado. Second thing I was going to mention real briefly is, and I think I sent an email on this a couple of weeks ago, but working with a group by the name of Reclaiming Civility, they're holding an event on Monday, March 30th at UCCS in the evening, where they're bringing in a couple of speakers. One is the head of an outfit called Braver Angels. They're based in Salt Lake City. The CEO, his name is Maury Giles. I've heard him speak before online, and he's amazing. He's really effective in identifying ways to kind of cut through some of the divisiveness that we deal with in our communities and local politics and local issues that we're dealing with. But he's fantastic. He's going to be the main speaker, but they're also bringing in the author of Soul of Civility. Her name is Alexandra Hudson. So she's going to talk about other things that have been working across the country as far as working through some of these divided times that we're all kind of working in within our communities. Hopefully not everybody's having to work through stuff like that, but I know some of us do sometimes. So anyways, there's a link out there for getting registered. It does require pre-registration and a small fee. I think the fee is $10 if I'm not mistaken. But the folks with Reclaiming Civility, it's a local outfit, really trying to encourage local government, business, philanthropy, education, and other sectors to be engaged and try to figure out how we can keep the conversation going. So my two items. So thank you.
All right, member entity announcements. Let's start with Councilmember Rainey.
Thank you, Madam President. Not a whole lot, but I just want to highlight that there's a couple of events coming up. Of course, in Colorado Springs, we have the St. Patty's Day Parade that's getting ready to happen. Should be pretty exciting. And also at the World War II Aviation Museum, there's a upcoming Tuskegee Airmen briefing that will be taking place on Saturday. So that's going to be pretty exciting also. And I think it was already mentioned when it comes to City Council, there's a couple of major updates that has already kind of hit the news and so forth. So guess I'll leave that to everybody to look at and read. But if you have any questions, our legislative services are there to actually speak on our behalf and guide everybody and answer questions on different steps that we as a city council are getting ready to go through. That's all I have.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a request from Mayor LeKind. He's got to drop off here in just a minute for a meeting. Wanted to see if he can go next.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Mayor LeKind.
Great, thank you very much. First off, I wanted to say that we are going to be having a dedication ceremony for council member Jim Romanello, who passed away almost a year ago. If anybody is interested in attending it, it will be on Friday, the 27th at 11 o'clock near one of the trailheads. I'm happy to provide the exact details if somebody wants to reach out. We are also having a naming contest in the town of Monument. The old Denver Road, which is being realigned as part of the Connexus development, is being renamed. It is open primarily to residents, but I just wanted to get that out there so everybody knew there'll be a new old Denver Road. And finally, last night we had our quarterly informal town hall. The place was absolutely packed to standing room only. Citizens came out and wanted to just shoot the breeze with the council in a non-meeting like format. It was absolutely brilliant. And so I just wanted to share with you that citizen engagement is not dead. When they want to be heard, they'll come out.
That's really great news. Thank you for that. Councilmember Donaldson.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Councilman Rainey touched on it, but three important things yesterday at City Council. One was our District 2 councilman resigned. And so I think it's important just to sort of get a little bit of information out right away. Tomorrow on the city website will be the process, and if someone is interested in applying for that to be considered by the other 8 council members, will be the ones, because he resigned, we will be the ones to appoint the replacement. Whoever that is will have to run again in April of 27 to be reelected. So this would be a 1-year essentially appointment. They do have to be a resident of District 2. You have to have lived there. I believe it's for 1 year, but the precise details will be on our website tomorrow. We have to appoint them within 30 days. So it's a pretty quick process. They will have to gather 50 signatures. There's an application which will be online, questions to answer, etc. The other 2 other important things happened yesterday. One was we voted a second time and passed the ordinance that says you can't live in a car or a truck in Colorado Springs on the public streets. And that gives our law enforcement, really our hot team that deals with homeless, a tool to use. First time they'll get a warning. The second time that vehicle is found, and the same people in it, and it's certain evidence of really living in the vehicle, not falling apart, falling asleep and sleeping, but you're living in the vehicle on public streets. They can be cited in up to 10 days in jail. That's at the discretion of 3 layers, the judge, the prosecutors, or even just the police, whether they cite them or not. And then thirdly, it was an important decision about whether or not to close or vacate the rights to one of our roads downtown Boulder between Nevada and Weber, which is just on the north boundary of what kind of splits property owned by D11 at Palmer High School. And that failed on a 4-4 vote. So that road will remain part of the city road network downtown. And looked at from business, small businesses had some concerns, neighborhood had some concerns. There's some concerns about traffic in the city. And I think that led to the no vote on vacating the street. So that's some of the news from Colorado Springs, but there'll be more next month.
Mayor Case.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to share with you all, this is my next to the last meeting here. Our next meeting will be the day after our election for mayor and city council. We do have an unopposed current sitting council member, George Jones, that will become our next mayor. And depending on his schedule, I may bring him with me next time to introduce you all to him. Because traditionally, we always send the mayor as the representative to PPACG. So that's a big deal, and I'm going to do my best not to have tears. And then Oh, let's see, just a little bit about the golf course. We are doing a lot of improvements and new flooring, new paint, a lot of improvements and maintenance that's been foregone for a long time. So plan is to have the golf course open and running for the season, and hope all of you will come up and enjoy that. We've been doing a lot of work on the greens and on the fairways, and so you'll see improvements ongoing. And we're going to be doing a master plan and community involvement we have an open house on the 17th. It's at our cultural center because the golf course is not ready to have people there, just to get citizens engaged and involved in what they'd like to see happen there, particularly with regards to the open space that we have cured and how we're going to program that and use that for activities and recreational opportunities. So a lot going on there, and I know there's a lot of interest in that. It's a pretty cool golf course and very challenging. So we hope to see all of you there when it opens. I think that's all. I'm sure Eric will come up with something. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Dixon.
A couple items. On the Board of Health, we have been having quite a bit of discussion on the latest Regulation 43 revision. It's still in discussion, and especially under the topic of the transfer of title section, which is an optional section. And so discussions are continuing. No finalization yet on whether or not we're going to maintain or opt out. The other thing is, a while back, Ms. Sally Clark from the USDA came and gave us a presentation. And as a result of that, we were able to make contact, and the town of Green Mountain Falls has been awarded something like $85,000 no match grant to do a feasibility study for wastewater. And so, yeah, good things can happen, even for small towns, showing up here and being able to take advantage of potential funding. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Congratulations. It's exciting. Yeah. Just wanted to let the group know Dan Blankenship was reappointed for 3 years on the air quality by the Senate. And I don't know if he knows he's part of this group.
I've let him know recently.
Okay.
I didn't hear back, but I told him it's an open invitation. If he ever wants to come and brief us what's going on, we'd be happy to have. I'll follow up again.
All right. Well, I think this morning he's doing a happy dance. We signed a contract last night with Security Water, 50-year lease for the equivalent of 2,000 family units for taps, and we're super excited. The council decided to put 50% of the taps for residential use. So that could be the equivalent of 1,000 new rooftops, depending on what size tap they need, 30% for commercial, and 20% set aside at council's discretion. So maybe infill project, large project, council town, whatever. But we really tried to be very thoughtful so that one developer didn't walk in and buy all 2,000. Looking to our community for a good mix, like we all want with businesses and residential. So we're super excited about that and what that means for our community. And I understand at 4:40 this morning, we had our first application for some of them. So somebody was up all night being busy. Thank you.
Commissioner Applegate.
Thank you. Spent the second to last weekend in DC for the annual NACO legislative conference for their flyout. I was also accompanied with Commissioner Williams and my executive director, Ryan Parcell. We not only got to meet with the different federal agencies, but we also got to hear Congressman Eimer speak. He's the majority whip, as well as Glenn Thompson from Pennsylvania. He's running the ag bill. That was really something I wanted to sit in and listen to because I have a little overlap in my district with Congressman Boebert, and I know she needs to be supportive of that being the Eastern Plains, a lot of farming, a lot of ranching, a lot of agricultural. But the key keynote speaker on Tuesday was Robert Kennedy Jr., and I got to hear some really good comments from him about talking about the children that are starting to have the prediabetes and the diabetic, and how they're starting to see an uptick in that, and how he wants to change that because he said there's no Republican children, there's no Democrat children, there's just our children. He was also doing a lot of work with Secretary Hegseth on the military bases. 6 of the different military installations were getting ready to abandon DFACs, but he was able to figure out what they were doing with serving their food, get it better food, get healthier food, and now they're starting to see those soldiers weighing off of the fast food that's just outside of the installation and using the DFACs more and using those facilities. So now we're seeing healthier soldiers, guys and gals that can pass physicals. So that's really important for the warfighters. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Gatlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to say that Creek had a fabulous February. The ice sculptures were phenomenal, a 2-week event. Unfortunately, the ice castles had to shut down early. We have a football field sized block of ice if anybody needs any. It hasn't all melted, but unfortunately, they had to shut down early. Coming up this month is, and excuse my language, we have a lot of entertainment. One of them is the BPI. They're called the Bastard Bearded Irishmen. They're going to be celebrating St. Patty's Day a little bit late. And then in April, we're going to have the dueling pianos and also a Led Zeppelin tribute band coming to town. Youth theater season is going to start in June and run to December. So we have a lot going on in Cripple Creek.
Okay, we're going to go to Commissioner Stone, then we'll come to Commissioner Mitchell and Councilmember Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. A few things. There was mention earlier about Braver Angels, and actually both Mayor Case and I attended. I sat on the board of a Braver Angels sponsored board that was talking about essentially wildfire resiliency, living, and how to make your homes safer. We had a really strong panel there, extremely well attended. It was held up in Divide. There had to have been 150 at least people in attendance, and for those who don't ever gaze up the hill, I always joke with my fellow commissioners and other electeds here in Colorado Springs that when you look at the mountains, we actually own most of the view. You guys just own the top, we own the rest of it. Anyway, the realities of living in Teller County these days are that for many people is that they're losing health insurance. I myself lost my health insurance twice this last year. I had 4 different insurance companies, and I was turned down by at least 10. And it's a reality of mountain living now. And then Braver Angels also 2 weeks before that had sponsored another forum where we actually got the Colorado State Insurance Commissioner to come and talk about essentially why insurance is such a challenge, not only in Teller County, but also in Colorado in general. A couple of the key points that he shared, which I thought were really relevant and certainly relevant to here in El Paso County as well, is that wildfire risk, which is why we often get denied up there for insurance, or our rates dramatically increased. It's kind of blamed on wildfire risk, is that wildfire risk actually represents about 11% of our premium. Hail risk, which we are not high hail risk, is over 50% of the premium, and I was kind of floored by that, except for when you think about it, that insurance is a shared risk, and the reason that such a large percentage of our premium in Teller County goes to hail risk is because hail risk in El Paso County is extremely high, especially when you get out onto the eastern plains, on the east side of Colorado Springs, that the catastrophic losses that occur from a single storm, just a single hailstorm will create more in losses than the most destructive wildfire in the history of the state of Colorado, which was, of course, the Marshall Fire in Boulder County. So it was interesting to get some of that feedback, but it was really well attended. Braver Angels has been very active in our county and trying to bring people together, breach that divide, and again, very well attended. Other things that are going on just from a county standpoint is we are going to be passing our CWPP, our Community Wildfire Protection Plan. It's on our agenda for Thursday, projected to be considered. And with that, our WUI maps that have to be submitted to the state, which I know that you guys down here are I don't know where you are on it, but from what I hear, we're one of 2 counties that is going to put it in on time. I don't know where you guys are. But that being said, we're putting it in on time using a map that frankly, I'm not wrong. I'm not overly satisfied with that. Some of the handcuffs that have been put on us by the state in regards to that, I'm not sure are going to help our residents. Certainly going to increase the cost of housing. And that's always an issue for us. So one other thing that we're considering and looking at, and actually Mayor Dixon kind of mentioned it in his comments, is that Teller County is not transfer on title county, but we're looking at it because our discussions on STRs and the active failures of systems when residential homes get converted to a commercial lodging use and occupancy is dramatically increased, especially over short periods of time, can cause those systems to fail. And we realized that we kind of had 2 problems. We don't have a transfer on title system, so nothing's getting checked out, inspected upon transfer. So we're going to be looking into that. And that can, some of the older areas like Cristola Canyon, which are right on the El Paso line, where, there's a lot of old cesspools and vaults and things that probably Green Mountain Falls is very familiar with because it's just right upstream from them, is we're going to have to start looking at this stuff. And our septic systems are just old enough now when you're thinking about modern septic systems that were, put in the 60s and 70s, early 80s under different standards than we have now. There's potential environmental concerns for those. So we're going to be taking a look at it. So that's some of the stuff we have.
Okay, Commissioner Mitchell and Park, if you're still available.
Thank you, Madam President. First, happy birthday, Commissioner Stone. Make it a good one.
Thank you.
Just an update. We've had a bit of snow. The high country has. The ski areas at least have a little bit of base now. So please be careful driving through Park County. We have so many people that speed over 100 miles an hour on Highway 24 and 285. So it is tragically dangerous. And the elk are coming down from the high country due to the snow. Yesterday on my way to Fairplay, passed 2 herds on 24 and 9. So please be careful. We don't want you to wreck your car nor kill an elk because I consider them one of my constituents. So that is it. Enjoy the snow and thank you very much.
Okay, Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Chair Williams. It may just be a lost in translation, but Commissioner Stone, it sounded like you said health insurance. And I don't know if you meant homeowners insurance or if I just heard health insurance, but I'm assuming you meant homeowners insurance, correct?
I did, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and I share your same sentiment. We actually had an issue down here where our fire marshal's home that's in a city subdivision had the same issue. So I think insurance is going to end up being a huge issue, and I don't know what they're discussing at the state level. I hope it doesn't get to the local level where we have to solve this, but we're definitely going to have to keep each other in the loop as far as keeping our community safe and our homeowners with their mortgages so that we can all stay safely housed. I just wanted to touch on something Councilmember Donaldson said. As Tom Bailey resigned, this will not be going on a ballot. So you do not need to get 50 signatures. You just need to apply for the position. And as he said, that will be coming out shortly. So I don't know that anyone's going to be listening to figure out the rules of engagement for this, but they're not going to need to get those signatures. Thank you.
And I know Councilmember Gold, did you have anything to update as well? I don't know if she's listening or there. Okay.
Okay, boom. I was trying really hard to unmute. I think between Donaldson and Councilmember Williams, they covered it all. So thank you. This was great.
I will say that as Tom Bailey is a good friend, I was very, very disappointed. The Gazette reported that he'd been recalled. Actually, the signatures had been submitted to put his recall on the ballot, but when you're making $131,000 less than I do, and you're serving just as much, people need to realize that it's a labor of love to serve on your city council, and they need to stop being so critical, in all honesty. And I don't know how else to say it. All the guy did was vote to authorize bonds. He didn't even actually vote to approve the development. That was Councilmember Helms. And so I was very upset about that, and very frustrated because I know Councilman Bailey had worked very hard at his job. Other than that, we have our 250, 150 semi-sesquicentennial. If you can say that 5 times, then you're doing pretty good. And I thought maybe I should dress up as Catherine Lee Bates and stand at the base of the Pioneer Museum for 7 days and see if I can see Pikes Peak through our courthouse. Because, you know, that was a good old fashioned thing that she always had to be able to see Pikes Peak, which is why our courthouse is shaped in a U. And so with that factoid, and that's all I'll say, El Paso County's doing well. So other than that, the upcoming meeting schedule is listed in your folder. That also includes the days the legislative committee meeting. That's a great way to keep up on what the state legislature is doing. And other than that, I think we're ready to adjourn. Are there any other comments?
Councilman Rainey, City
Yes.
Council, Colorado Springs. Just one item I want to mention. April 13th through the 15th is the 41st Space Symposium at the Broadmoor. So I want to make sure that I mention that. Of course, that brings in folks from all across the country, actually all across the globe. So just know that that's going to be happening in April.
And that's a huge boon for our economy. And so we always enjoy having that here. And I'm really excited to see the new Air Force Academy Museum. So, all right. Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.